Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by United Airlines. When you want to make the most of your vacation, book with United. They're an airline that cares about your travels as much as you do. United is transforming the flying experience with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to help fit everyone's bag. And with their app, you can skip the bag check line, get live updates, and more. Change the way you fly. Book your next trip today at united.com.
I'm just gonna give you a smoother pedal. Never!
Not him. Tylko szły do piazza, chodźcie do banarca.
So, she's added cussing and the hurling about of things to her repertoire. She really is a prodigy.
It's just a bad day.
No, a bad day is when someone's yelling spooks the cattle. Understand? You ever see cattle stampede when they got no place to run? It's kind of like a meat grinder. And it loses half our herd.
She hasn't got anywhere near the cattle.
No, but in case you hadn't noticed, her voice kind of carries. We're 2 miles above ground, and they can probably hear her down there. As soon as we unload, she can holler until our ears bleed. Although I would take it as a kindness if she didn't.
Human body can be drained of blood in 8.6 seconds given adequate vacuuming systems.
See, morbid and creepifying, I got no problem with. Long as she does it quiet like.
There in podcast land. Welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Firefly. We're just two boys watching every episode of Firefly for the first time, giving our review, our reactions. We're your hosts. I am Joe Welke.
I am Vance.
And today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 5, titled Safe. Directed by Michael Grossman, written by Drew Z. Greenberg, original air date November 8th, 2002, to an audience of 4.68 million people. And before we get into the episode, we've got no shout-outs, but just a little reminder, join our Discord, join our Patreon, patreon.com/boyswatchingbuffy. We're doing Boys Watching Angel. Got a hell of an episode of Angel going on this week. Yeah, how you doing, Vance?
I'm doing all right. Do a little better once I crack open this Monster Energy.
Oh, you're guava, and I'm creamsicling this week.
All right.
This is your first guava, right?
First guava. Not my first ever guava anything, but first guava Monster.
All right, this is my first creamsicle C4, so we'll see how this goes.
All right, that's pretty good.
This creamsicle is definitely better than the Dream Float. Tastes definitely more like a creamsicle.
Yeah.
Definitely more.
Because
the Dream Float had a little spice to it.
Those flavor scientists, man, they're just working on it.
Yeah, dude, C4 is a winner. I've actually bought C4 myself independently from, like, you know how Amazon has like warehouses where people send stuff back and they like can't resell it or whatever. And so at these warehouses, they just sell all this like returned items for very cheap. I got a lemon Starburst C4, and that shit is good. I've been actually drinking those on my own.
Huh. All right.
And it was like a case of like 12 of them for $6, I think.
All right.
Yeah. If you're out in California, I think it's near the Del Amo Mall, everybody. So I don't know what it's called, but check it out.
All right. A little tidbit from the boy.
Yeah, a little info. Just look in your neighborhood. There's probably one. I don't know.
Amazon just throwing stuff on the side of the road. You can just get it. They sometimes put boxes in front of people's houses that you can take too.
Yeah, just take them. If you see one, that's fair game. That's yours.
Right?
Oh, man. So, yeah. What did we predict for safe for this episode of Firefly?
I predicted that this would be a river episode, and they would have to keep her safe from something.
Boy, was it.
It's not as much of a river episode as I thought it would be, but This feels
No,
more
he
like a
nailed it.
Simon one, but it's close enough. They got to keep her safe from something.
Yeah. I mean, that's always.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did I predict?
You predicted that we'd get a bank heist. Fast Five safe tumbling through the city.
Nah.
No talk of
Didn't
banks.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was incorrect prediction by your boy Joe Welke.
I've learned from Shindig not to get my hopes up on heists and the train job. The heists.
Oh yeah.
The heists are not the thing that they're going for with this series, it seems.
Yeah. I will say that this episode, the next one, that's when like the real like rescheduling of the air dates fuckery starts to really come into play. Like it already came into play with the first episode, but now things are getting real jumbled. So
yeah.
Craziness. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, shall we hop into this?
Please, let's do it.
No more dilly-dallying. This is we get a double recap at the top of this episode. We get Mal explaining everything that, why the Earth, we used up Earth, so we had to go terraform a bunch of other planets. And then right after he's done that whole 2-minute speech, we get a previously on, you get a little recap of Book, Simon and River and Harrow and the dual situation, the job that Mal took on for them. So we start the episode, though, with a flashback.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of stuff right up the top there.
They know no one's been watching. It's like, no one's watching this. We got to like catch them up to speed. But
yeah,
I feel like you can get it.
Yeah. But we go to the Tam estate 11 years ago, and a young Simon and River are playing pretend as the independent army, and they're being attacked. But Simon can't be bothered. He's got to do his studies. He's trying to study, and River's like, "Come on, Simon, why don't you play? There's dinosaurs that are attacking." And Simon's like, "Dinosaurs? Oh, geez. Well, that's craziness. I didn't know that the Alliance had dinosaurs at their disposal." And then River's like, "You never want to play. You just want to study. And also, the book that you're reading is wrong." She goes, "Oh, well, that's wrong." And Simon goes, "No, it's not. I double checked. I did all of my math correctly." And she goes, "No, it's not your stuff that's wrong. The entire book is wrong." River's so smart.
She's so smart. She uses big words. Yeah.
Literally in my note, it says she's so smart. So then their dad shows up, and the dad's like, "What are you two scamps getting into?" And they're like, "Oh, we were playing, we were the independent army, and dinosaurs showed up." And the dad's like, "Oh, that's very interesting." And then Simon starts to bitch at his dad, like, "Hey, I wrote an essay and it got lost because I forget what he calls it, but his computer got fried
internet
or something.
Network or something. I don't know.
Net box, light box or some shit."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I got to get a new computer because this one isn't powerful enough." And the dad was like, "My son, I can't believe what you're asking. You'll do well with this computer that you have." And he's like, "But it's not powerful enough and I need a new one." And the dad's like, "Well, I would object, but your mother already bought you one. But you have to promise me that if you get this new computer that you're going to be a doctor." And Simon's like, "Okay." Now, meanwhile, through this entire scene, there is copious amounts of Chinese being spoken.
My note says the language mashup sounds so forced.
My note says a lot of Chinese stuff happening.
Now, and this is a lot throughout most of this episode too, at least at the first half.
I feel like this scene in particular was very egregious. Like, there are whole halves of sentences spoken in Chinese.
And when we get to the next scene, like River saying "Goram" again, it really does not feel right. And I was thinking about how, there's some people that like speak two languages, and sometimes, like you'll be arguing in Spanish and then like you'll say something in English and vice versa. But that's two languages that are separate being said together. the way they're trying to do it is that some Chinese has seeped its way into the melded language, but that's not how you would speak it, because us as native English speakers say words like deja vu and stuff like that, which is not necessarily an English word. That terminology has seeped in. So if you say it, it doesn't come across like we go straight hard French accent to deliver it, you know?
Yeah. And when we do it, it's not entire sentences or like half of the sentence.
Or a whole turn of phrase. It's like certain words and certain terms get melded in. This feels like someone's being dubbed in Chinese when they come into it. It's not, it doesn't, I get what they're trying to do. It just doesn't work for me.
To your point, I love when you listen to like, there's like two Spanish speakers and they're going, like they're talking in Spanish. They'll be like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then just out of nowhere, just a perfectly English word. Mm-hmm. And then go back to Spanish, blah, 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 blah. Baltimore Ravens, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I don't speak any other languages, people. I'm sorry that was in blah, blah, blahs. Sorry.
Yeah.
I wish I did.
So yeah, it's a way to do it, but this is like, they're shifting back and forth and it feels unnatural.
Yeah. So yeah, then we go back to present day and River's, of course, freaking out, and Simon's, of course, trying to calm her down, as they are wont to do. And she's screaming about how she had needles in her eyes. No, don't do it again, and don't do it. And then she throws some stuff around, and Simon's like, here, I'll close the door. We'll keep you calm. Sorry. So then Mal shows up and River throws like, I forget what she throws at him, like a tray of stuff. And he's like, oh, okay. So now she's taken to throwing stuff along with talking crazy. Very nice. Could you maybe get her to calm the fuck down, because it's going to spook the cattle and it could cause a stampede. And I don't know if you've ever seen a stampede where there's nowhere to stampede, but it's ugly. And Simon's like, well, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm trying my best. And then Mal's like, fucking tie her down and gag her if you have to. She can fucking scream her ears out scream her lungs out until our ears bleed after we deliver this cattle. But can you just fucking, I don't know, sedate her or something for a little bit? And Simon's like, well, I don't know what set her off. I don't know what to do. And then Mal is like, figure it out. Bye.
I have a question. Did this episode originally happen in this order after Shindig in the air date?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Shindig's original air date was November 1st, and this one is November 8th.
Okay.
So yes.
Cool.
Yeah. That would be very confusing if they just had a bunch of cattle.
I know.
I mean, maybe not. They just figure that they picked up cattle or something. I don't know.
No, I mean, if it was a whole nother episode in between, it seems like it'd be a lot. Yeah.
Well, we did get explained. We got a previously on Firefly. We did see Inara and Mal drinking around the cattle.
No, I'm saying if there was another episode that aired between this, it'd be weird that they like picked up another thing and then later they're dropping off cattle.
So then we see the Serenity landing on the planet where they're dropping off the cattle, and a bunch of like scavenger guys looking dudes see it, and they're like, oh, a vessel like that doesn't come to our planet very often unless it's got something valuable on it. And we might need to take it. And then it rips the skin off of a squirrel or something.
It was a rabbit.
Yeah. And then we get the theme song. You take my mind, take my life. You can't take the sky from me.
You got to get the rhyme scheme, Joe.
I know.
You got to get
the second.
You got
time to
whatever
lyrics.
Whatever the second line is, the next line just rhymes with it.
Okay.
It's like whatever that second line ends with, you just got to end with another thing like that.
You can take my poop, you can take my pee, but you can't take serenity.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
All right. So,
what's up with that fancy bathroom that he has? The retractable toilet. We haven't seen that in a while.
We haven't seen that in a minute.
I wish every
We're talking about that like it's a character.
I know, like Like every time that just happened. Like he has to go to the bathroom in every episode. That'd be a nice running gag. You never see that on TV.
Yeah. Well, here's a gag for you. We come back and Simon's stepping in shit. And
well, he's an idiot. I don't want this guy doing surgery on me. How can he not see all these mud pies? They are huge. They are everywhere. And he doesn't step on the first one. He steps on like the third one down.
Yeah, and it seems like he's very concerned about not stepping in it, and he still steps in it.
Well, the close-up is fine. It's just when they cut to the wide shot, you see where they all are. Yeah. And who's cleaning that up? I just wanted it.
Yeah. Wash. It's in his name.
True. True. Fair enough.
So yeah, he steps in poop and Jane's like, hey, about time you break those shoes in. And you know what? Jane's starting to climb the likability rankings for me in this episode.
Really? He's fine in this one. He doesn't move the needle for me, but all right.
He doesn't really factor in too much to the plot of the episode, but I like what he's doing. It's funny. Mm-hmm. So he releases the cattle and Book is helping herd the cattle. And, I'm a shepherd in name only. And then River starts talking to the cattle. And Mal is like, oh, this chick on the ship, she couldn't get near the cattle without freaking out. Now she's out here and she wants to have a conversation with him. And then River goes, because on the ship they weren't cattle. Now that they see the sky, they are free to be who they are to be. And Mal's like, maybe I'm just going a little crazy, but that actually made kind of sense to me. And then he's like, River, you better get back on the ship because we're about to do this deal. And Simon's like, why does she gotta go back on the ship? How come nobody else needs to go back on the ship? And then Mal grabs Simon and he pulls him aside and he's like, it's because your sister's fucking crazy, my dude. And her craziness could fuck up this whole deal. And also, I don't know if you remember this, but you two are wanted fugitives and I don't want to call attention to us. And I'm more worried about the deal that she could screw up. But yeah.
Mal tells him to take a walk. And Simon's the one that says we're fugitives. And then Mal says, no one's looking for you. No alliance ships are coming this way.
You're right. Yep. I just saw that in my second little note that I didn't get to yet. But yeah, he tells him to take a walk. And Simon's real nervous about it. And then we go to
I do want to say I like Mal and Simon being antagonistic to each other. That is, I think, the thing that's been missing from their interactions. Like, I don't know if I love Simon's performance a lot of the time now, but I do like the idea that he's the new person on the ship and he'll push back against the captain, that everyone will just follow blindly. And he won't, and they'll like, they have this, because they're both status people, like they both have a status and they both like have an ego a bit. And I think that stuff is fun when they butt heads, because Shepard won't do it because Shepard's too high and mighty, but Anar will do it, but she's also a power status, but yeah, something I do like the Mal and Simon stuff when that happens.
There is something to the relationship of like, I don't necessarily like this person, but they have something I need and I need to work with, like little frenemies.
Yes.
Little like, I got to work with this person because I got no one else, but I don't like them.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like that's the Inara Mal relationship. It's the Simon Mal relationship. Does anybody like Mal?
I think Zoe, I guess.
Yeah, Zoe, I guess. Wash seems to... they got into an argument in the first episode.
But that first episode almost doesn't count anymore, does it?
Yeah. Yeah, Kaylee doesn't necessarily like him.
Well, Kaylee's Kaylee.
Yeah, Kaylee's a flower child. The sun... She's a ray of sunlight in this dark void of space.
Gosh, her feelings get hurt so easily.
Boy, do they.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Inara and Kaylee are at a thrift store, a general store or something, and they're looking around and they see a statue of a swan and they're like, oh man, here's a quip about this statue. And Then Kaylee wanders over to a dish and she's like, do you think this dish would make for a good gift for someone? I don't know. It seems pretty classy. And Inara's like, who's this gift for, girl? And Kaylee's like, oh, stop, girl. You know who it is, girl. And Inara's like, oh, yeah, girl. It's for Simon, isn't it? You like him? And Kaylee's like, maybe a little bit. Oh.
This scene would be funny if Jane was there.
Absolutely, it would be. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it would be. But he's not.
Nope.
Instead, Simon and River show up as they're having this little girl out, and Inara's like, Kaylee, shh, guess who just walked in? And Kaylee's like, hey there, Simon. How are you doing? And Simon's like, shut the fuck up. River, don't touch that.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's like just frantically grabbing River, and Kaylee's trying to like talk to him, and she's like, "Oh, you like this store? You guys don't really get out much. You think this is a cool place?" And he's like, "Nah, yeah, cool. This planet's a fucking shithole." And then he looks at the gift that Kaylee was about to buy him, and he's like, "Ugh, can you believe people would pay money for this garbage?" And Kaylee's like, okay. She's like, yeah, garbage.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, are you ready to have some fun in town? He's like, fun in town? This place fucking sucks. Everything about my life right now sucks. The ship that we're on is a bunch of losa.
Oh my God. Did he say something bad about the ship? The one trigger Kaylee seems to have that seems to come up in every episode. This is the third time that someone said something about this ship and she loses it.
It really is. That isn't, yeah, you're right. This is the insane, like, running thing with Kaylee.
Like, give her another layer.
Wow. The ship is a bunch of lussa, and then Kaylee's like, lussa? You think this ship is lussa? It's not lussa. And Simon's like, okay. And she goes, well, if you think the ship is lussa, and everything we do on the ship is lussa, that must mean that you think everybody that chooses to be on the ship is a bunch of lussa. So, I guess I don't like you as much as I thought I did. Then she wanders off, and Simon's like, what the fuck is that bitch's River?
And this is the first of many times that he will lose River in the same room that he's in.
Yep. Dude, River would be great at hide and seek.
She's a ninja.
I gotta say, and I've said this on this before, but it's cemented now. Man, I fucking hate River. I hate this character.
It's the character trope that we historically on this podcast have not liked.
Yeah.
And it has not, and they have not done anything new or interesting with it. Granted, this is, an older show, but we've seen this trope played out modern day movies and stuff, and it's still played the same way. Just nonsensical rantings, then moments of clarity and cryptic speech that actually turns out to be something.
Yeah. I can't.
I think what makes it worse is Simon too.
Yes, that's what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Simon's constant, just neediness to be around and like mothering of her. Like, oh God.
It's not like he has like an interesting bond with her either. It feels like he was saddled with a girl that has like mental ailment and he has to just take care of her reluctantly.
Do you remember when we did our Boys Watching Movies podcast episode on Love Actually?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's a character in there, her whole storyline is like she's got this really hot guy lusting after her, but she can't get with him because she has a brother in a hospital. I don't know. I don't remember if it was a mental hospital or what, or if he's got like dementia or something.
He's in a facility.
Yeah. And she's like, I can't be with you. I have to go take care of my brother. And we're like, what? Why?
That breaks me. Check out the podcast on Patreon if you want. It's that I hate that she can't be with the person that she actually spends time with at work because they work at the same office. Yeah.
It's a mutual crush attraction.
Yeah.
Like she's like, oh man, this guy's so hot, and he asks her out finally, and then she like keeps getting. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. But
Simon has that energy.
Yes.
But he also like looks down on everyone around him, it seems like, but he also needs them. It's a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
The dynamic would work if Simon wasn't so bitch made.
Yeah, that scene with him and Kaylee where he's like, oh, this is all garbage and stuff. Try to...
Sorry, Vance?
I'm not going to say
it.
I'm not going to say it. Because without this episode, there's a ton of flashbacks to try to show his connection to River and his connection to his family and stuff. But when we don't get the chance to see the fanciness that he grew up with in the flashbacks and how long he's been on the run trying to get River. Seems like he would have come across, like he could still be like highbrow, but here it seems like they want him to be highbrow and mean and an asshole for some reason. But why? Because again, it doesn't really pan out for anything.
See, I kind of disagree. I feel like they did do a good job of at least hinting at the highbrowness and like Ivy League, like nepotism type stuff. But I feel like they did a terrible job of showing the relationship between River and Simon in those flashbacks.
Well, I think they did. I don't think they do a good job of showing the relationship either, especially since River's not in most of the flashbacks.
Yeah.
But also, my thing is we don't get a chance to see if he's rejecting the highbrow because of what happened to River. You know what I mean? Like, is he still, oh, I do like, as opposed to Mal, who the alliance he is not a fan of due to the war.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were Simon and you came from this highbrow society, you saw how they treated one of your own, being your sister, would you still be all about, you know? But there's a way where he can still like fancier things. He still has the training, it's in him. But here he's mean to Kaylee to kind of show the audience that he's highbrow, but it doesn't actually, they never actually settle that. There's no conclusion
reconciliation between Kaylee and Simon.
Yeah, that scene basically is just for us to lose River and for him to shit on her gift that she gave her, that she was going to give him. But it has nothing to do with the rest of the plot whatsoever.
Yeah. Once again, you think that Kaylee might factor into something. They set it up. They just leave it hanging there.
Yeah. There's a big one for me, but yeah. There's a bigger one for me in this, but yeah.
So River's disappeared. Simon's looking for her. We go back to the ship, and Mal is walking out of the ship, and there's a bunch of cattle poo all over the joint. And he's annoyed about it. And he's like, all right, well, the people we're making deal with for this cattle, they're over there, so let's go over and make this deal. And they walk over. And these people are like, we're not impressed by this cattle. They look a little too skinny. I know we originally agreed upon 30 a head, but I'm going to give you 20. Mal's like, that's not the deal that we had in place. And then the people that are doing the deal are like, well, we didn't know that the cows were going to be this skinny, and so you're fucking us over. And Mal's like, it seems like you're fucking us over because now you're backing out of this deal. And then Book is very concerned. Book is like, hey, is everything okay? And Mal's like, I got it.
This is the part of the haggling that I like.
Look, they're trying to lowball us. We'll agree upon 25 a head, and it'll be fine. We'll be on our merry way.
And we find out that the cows have been on the ship for a month.
Yeah.
Which is a long time.
It is a long time.
Because they don't have the means to keep cows on that ship for a month.
Yeah.
It's no way.
Vance. I don't know if you remember, but they've been being fed by beautiful women. So that should increase the price per head.
So they have enough food to feed all those cattle, but they don't have a lot of food for themselves? What?
For a month, dude.
A month.
Like, that's a long time.
The shit alone. The methane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's... All right. I mean, we're trying to give you a, science accurate space Western.
So we go away from this scene to back to River, and River's wandering around like a sheriff's office, and Simon sees her wander close there, and he's like, oh, fuck. Oh, they're going to recognize her, and we're going to go back into the clink. And the sheriffs just walk right past River, and then they walk past Simon, and he's like, morning, officers. And they're like, morning. And they walk right past him, and then he just starts sprinting towards River. Way to be the most suspicious guy.
I can't call what he did sprinting at all. That is a Whedonverse run. Why does everyone run weird in the Whedonverse? That run is so weird.
I mean, that's why I'm like, it's got to be
directed.
The camera. Like, there's got to be something about that.
There's got to be some direction that they give. Like, okay, I want you to run, but not normal.
Yeah. So then we go back to Mal haggling, and he's like, look, that's not the deal we agreed upon. Then his little business partners are like, well, then I guess we'll fucking walk away from this deal. And then Mal's like, if you try to walk away, we'll fucking kill you. He was like, we'll have to strongly urge you to do this deal because there might be some dire consequences if you don't. And then the business partners are like, all right, how about 25 a head? And then Mal's like, pleasure doing business with you. All right, we'll take that deal. And just as they hand over the money, the sheriffs that walked past River and Simon, they show up. And they're like, these fucking scumbags are under arrest.
Yeah, that was confusing to me because they seem like they're walking into that store that he's coming out of. But then...
Yeah.
They are at this. I don't know. I have a bad grasp of geography in this, of how far anything is from it.
Yeah, it seems like Serenity is like very far away from where the town is.
But I'm saying this ship, that the herding station, the place where they're herding all the cattle. I don't know how far from the store it is.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I feel like that's near Serenity, though.
No. Okay.
I love that Jane's getting a real big joy out of whipping these cattle, though. He's having the time of his life just whipping cattle on the ass.
He's a cowboy at heart, He fit right in on Yellowstone.
Yeah, he's a cowboy, baby. So yeah, they show up in there trying to arrest Mal's little business partners. Then we go back to Simon looking for River, and he walks through a cloth and he finds like a Mayflower party.
Oh, I wrote festive hoedown.
Yeah. And River stumbles her drunk ass into there. she's looking around and she's entranced by all the dancing, and then she stumbles into the exact middle of the party, and then she starts dancing, and people start dancing with her, and she looks like she does not fit in. She's wearing very bright clothing, and some guy just starts dancing, and Simon finds her, and he's like, oh, River, you scamp.
Summer Glau's a trained ballet dancer, so, yeah.
Yeah, but Simon is very amused. He sees River, and he's like, oh, she's having fun. I guess I can allow this for a little bit.
River, where are you? Oh, there she is. She's behind that person. River, where are you?
Yeah. So then we go back to the cattle, and the sheriff starts questioning Mal, and they're like, what are you doing here? And he's like, whoa, hey, buddy, we're just here. And the sheriff's like, whose cattle is this? And he's like, it's those guys. And they're like, all right, well, fine. And then the people that Mal's doing the deal with, they start shooting at the sheriff. Sheriff starts shooting at them. There's a big old shootout going, and Mal and Jane, they take out their guns to defend themselves. We go back to River dancing. Then Mal is like on the ground, and he's with Jane, and they grab the money, and they're like, how come this is never easy? And there's the shootout's still going on, and then they eventually escape. River just keeps on fucking dancing. But during the shootout, there is collateral damage, everybody. Book gets shot. Looks like right in the heart.
It's like a little high up. It's like not quite shoulder, not too low.
He's
it's just
like,
right in that
he's like
safe
a vampire
spot.
in Buffy.
It's high enough that it's one of those TV shots where they always get shot in the shoulder. I feel like it's almost the same. Well, I think Kaylee got shot in the gut, didn't she?
I don't quite remember.
She got somewhere.
I feel like everybody has gotten shot except for Zoe and Wash in this show.
Well, Wash barely leaves the ship, so
he's barely in the show.
Yeah, because Jane's gotten shot in the leg.
Yeah, Jane got shot in the leg. Kaylee got shot in the gut. Mal's been shot and cut and all kinds of stuff.
Which really, there's a line later that just what is happening?
Nara hasn't gotten shot yet.
Yeah, but yet she's definitely going to be on death's door at some point.
Yeah.
I have to say, okay, I mean, I guess we could finish this. Like, River senses Shepard being shot.
She senses that Book got shot. And she's like,
and then
River freaking out.
Or she sensed that Simon got a bag put over his head and is being kidnapped.
Oh, right. Yes, he gets kidnapped here, yeah.
Who knows? Her senses are going crazy and everyone's spinning and dancing around her. It's a beautiful nightmare. Now, in my note...
a sweet dream?
Or is it a sweet dream? True. Now, in my note, I have in bold and underlined, so lame. And so lame is referring to the laser sound effects from the revolvers that are being shot in this shootout. We have heard guns before. They sound like normal guns, kind of. Not as heavy as I thought. This sounds like we're watching Star Wars. They're shooting their guns, but you look at them, these are 6-shooters.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way these are powered by anything that would make that sound. And it is awful.
Yeah. Unless there's 6 laser bullets in there, Vance. But it literally is like, pew, pew. Yeah. Like, zero. Like, it's so bad.
And it's like there's no muzzle flash on the gun either, but there's nothing that would make the pew pew sound. There's not even like laser lights. I don't know if they were meant to have like kind of laser things there and then they just didn't do it. I don't know. It's bad. And they haven't had this in any of the other stuff that we've seen.
Yeah, because there is a shootout at a bar. And it's like it sounds like real guns.
There's a shootout in the first episode at the end.
Yeah.
We've seen guns being shot.
Yeah, I don't know why it went this direction with this.
And it was just it was like pew, 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 ding, ding. I was like, what's happening? I don't know. That was just that one was a miss.
Yeah. But yeah, Simon's been taken hostage. River's freaking out. Book's been shot. Mal has given his trade partners to the cops. He tells Book, well, you're bleeding a lot. Book's like, is it bad? And he goes, it just means you're still alive.
I'm like,
I gotta look up where Nathan Fillion's from.
I'll find out.
Yeah. But so then we go to Book, and he's bleeding a bunch, and they get a stretcher for him, and they stretcher him back to the ship.
Canadian American.
He's Canadian?
He was born in Edmonton, Canada.
Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. All right. Well, so they stretcher Book back to the ship, and Kaylee's like, Book? Book? How did this happen? And they're like, get out of the way, Kaylee. We got to tend to his wounds. Zoe and Mal, they're taking care of him, and then Book starts convulsing, and then Mal drugs him up with something. And then they're like, well, is he going to make it? And Mal's like, he ain't dead, but he ain't doing well. Wash, go look for Simon. So, yeah, it's not looking good for Book, man.
I thought they were going to kill Book off when I saw that.
I thought so too. And I was like, oh, man.
I was like,
maybe that's why they changed the intro to Mal narrating it.
And I was like, this is interesting. Maybe like they're doing like a little casting change and re-upping some stuff. And I was like, all right, we'll see what happens here. But no, he's just going to get shot.
Yep.
I know why he gets shot and what they're going for later, but also leads to more questions for me.
Yeah, so then we go to Simon with his kidnappers, and he's like, where are you taking me? What is this? Why you can't do this to me? And then they just punch him.
Yeah, right. The right move.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Punched him right into a flashback.
Yeah. Yeah, so we get a flashback about Simon talking to his parents about how he's worried about River at the academy. He thinks that River's in danger. He thinks that she's sending a code because a lot of her letters don't make sense, and this isn't how she normally talks. And the parents are like, Simon, you're talking crazy. And he's like, am I, or is River going through something terrible? And they're like, River's just playing a game. Get out of our way. We got a debutante's ball to get to. And he's like, guys, your daughter's in danger. And they're like, you're just being paranoid. And you don't want to act crazy like this, do you? It could ruin your medical future. And then Simon's like, you're right.
You'll take my computer away.
Yeah.
Do the parents know what's going on with River?
I don't think they do.
So they're just
do you
being...
think they do?
I don't know. I thought we'd figure out an answer by the end of this, but are the parents just being obtuse for no reason? Like he's bringing up
parents.
Simon's bringing up a good point that there's misspelling, and she's talking about stuff that they haven't even gone to, and their parents are like, oh, she's just playing one of her jokes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the parents just blindly trust the government. Yeah.
That's
because they've got a good life. Like, why wouldn't they trust the government? They're rich. Mm-hmm. They're well off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When the system's working for you, why question the system, right?
Yeah.
But could they not like? I think this is the tricky part. We don't ever find out like, oh yeah, we went to go visit her. She's fine. Or it seems like I need a little. I would want the parents to be hiding this and being like, yeah, they came to us with this proposition. We took the deal. What do you think we got this extra money from or something? Why not just make them full bad? Yeah. Like, make them full bad. There's no point in not.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like just weird gray area.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be an interesting thing if they're like, they told us they were going to do stuff, but like, don't worry, it's going to be fine. They're going to make her like an asset to the government or something.
Yes, asset to the government. She's doing her part, being a part of Alliance. Then you're going to do your part, being a medical,
Yeah. Yeah, there's none of that, though.
Nope.
They're just like, you're being paranoid, Simon. And he's like, you sure about that? So then we go back to present day Simon, and the kidnappers are ushering him through the woods. And who do they stumble upon? But River, just frolicking, gallivanting through the woods. And she sees Simon. She's like, Simon, what's up, dude?
I found you.
Yeah. I was like, God. And Simon runs over to her and he's like, you can't be here. You get away from here. Stop it. And then his kidnappers are like, oh, we'll take her too.
Yeah.
Not real picky about this whole kidnapping situation.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So then Wash returns to Serenity and he's like, I couldn't find Simon anywhere. Damn it. And they're like, are you sure? Did you check in the town? He's like, town's not that big. I didn't see him anywhere. I'm driving an ATV. And then they're like, well, where do you think he could be? And then Wash goes, well, if anybody paid fucking attention to the warnings at the sheriff's office, you would know that there are some hill folk that have just been kidnapping people. And I think that Simon and River got kidnapped. And then Mal's like, all right, good riddance. Let's go.
I know.
And they're like, what? And he's like, we got to get Book to a medical. Like, if they're kidnapped, we don't have time for this shit. We got to save Book's life. And Kaylee's looking around like, well, how could you?
Yeah.
That's her role. Like, her whole character is how could you?
Mm-hmm.
That's the look on her face always.
It's like her and Inara have to be these like moral codes for these, the moral conscience for Mal for these situations. But there's so many people. Like, that's Book's job too.
Yeah. Like, Kaylee is the optimism moral compass, and Inara is the realism moral compass, I feel.
I just need to feel like Kaylee has been on this ship for a while, which it seems. And they seem like they do a lot of shady dealings. And it seems like she doesn't understand that for some reason, which is what confuses me.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
That Reaver guy, he couldn't have killed all those people, could he? It's like, have you guys not run into anything?
I mean, Kaylee does spend a majority of the time in the back of the ship, I guess, just fixing stuff. Maybe she doesn't see the, like, field work?
They robbed a train and Jane came back with a bullet in his leg. Like, what does she think is going on?
Yeah, I was trying to make an excuse for it. I don't know.
Wash barely leaves the ship and he still knows enough.
Yeah. I like that he's just like got a Hawaiian shirt on all the time, though. It's so funny to me. Like, Alan Tudyk showed up and he was just like, wardrobe, I don't need it.
Yeah, just, yeah. Why? Sure. Why? Sure. Yeah. Why does he have a Hawaiian shirt? It makes him different and sets him apart. And he kind of has some funny quips, but they haven't had him do anything yet.
Yeah. So we go back to River and Simon, and they're with the kidnappers, and they're like, don't worry, River. Don't worry. The captain's going to be here. They're going to rescue us. They wouldn't leave without us. And then they turn around just to see Serenity taking off and leaving. And the kidnapper's like, is that your captain? Don't think he's coming back, buddy. It looks like they left you. Mm-hmm. And Simon's like, fuck.
Yep.
It's very funny.
And here we have travelers in their natural habitat enjoying guaranteed 4 p.m. checkout at fine hotels and resorts booked through Amex Travel. And they don't even see what's coming at them.
We're in. We got the table.
Yep, with Resi Priority Notify, they're alerted when hard-to-get reservations open up.
Reservation for 2? Save the best for last.
Thanks to Amex Platinum, the last day vacation brings yet another experience. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withAmex.
This episode is brought to you by United Airlines. When you want to make the most of your vacation, book with United. They're an airline that cares about your travels as much as you do. United is transforming the flying experience with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to help fit everyone's bag. And with their app, you can skip the bag check line, get live updates, and more. Change the way you fly. Book your next trip today at united.com.
So then we go to Zoe, who is tending to Book, who is awake now. And Book is like, am I going to live? And Zoe's like, dude, in the war, I've seen dudes with dozens of bullets this size. One guy, he even made like a tissue box out of the bullet hole. And Book's like, where's Simon? How come he's not taking care of me? And Zoe's like, duh, don't you worry about that.
It was crazy that he was awake and conscious and talking here.
Yeah, like, and feeling like he was fine.
Yeah, I was like, oh, well, that was easy.
Yeah, like he seemed like he was just a little tired.
Also, it was that whole thing of, oh, Simon's here because we need a doctor on the ship. And then when they got Shepard on the ship, everyone was a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Zoe can patch him up. Zoe and Mal can patch him up. But, yeah, so then we go to Mal in the cockpit, and he's like trying to find a planet with Washed where there's medical help, and he's like, that would take too long. Oh, that one place is a piece of shit. We can't go there. And then Inara shows up and she's like, you know where you need to go. And Mal's like, I'm not going back onto that planet to rescue Simon. That guy's a fucking pain in my ass. We got to deal with Book. And she's like, no, I'm not talking about that. We got to go to the medical facilities. And Mal's like, no way. No way we would do that.
I love when she just says, you know where you got to go. Medical facilities. Can we not come up with something else? Like something that we know that it's an Alliance medical facility, but it's not just called medical facilities. It was...
Yes. When she said that, I was expecting Mal to turn around and be like, that's where I'm looking for. Like, that's what I'm looking for.
Like, what are the other places called that on other planets that aren't Alliance based? Like, she was like, you need to go to an Alliance hospital or something, like an Alliance, for her to just say medical facilities.
Yeah, if she said something like there's an Alliance ship like 3 clicks to the left.
Yeah.
Mal would be like, no. But when she said medical facilities, I was like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
But then when Mal like protests, she's like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I was able to
looking for that though.
I was able to put 2 and 2 together when she said it because I just knew that would have to be what they were going for. But there's nothing that separates medical facilities from we're looking for medical facilities.
Yeah. So then we go back to the planet with Simon and River, and they're with the kidnappers, and they bring them to their village. And they're like, we found one. We found a real genuine doctor and his weirdo sister. But this doctor, he's the one that we all care about. And it's like the whole village is full of sick people. And that's why they kidnapped Simon. And doing this storyline again.
Yeah, we're doing this storyline again. Only 5 episodes in or whatever. My question is this. We tease these settlers, that's what they were called, as people that they were like, hey, you know, if they got a ship, they got something important on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they kidnap Simon.
Mm-hmm.
How did they know Simon was a doctor?
He's got a vest.
Is that it? I mean, I'm serious. Like, is that true?
I have no idea.
He doesn't have a medical bag. He hasn't mentioned being a doctor if they could hear an earshot. So they just grabbed this guy and they were like, we got him. He's a doctor. All right.
I guess they just figured any fancy pants is a doctor.
I guess. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what calling card he would have had that was like, he's a doctor.
Yeah. That was, I think.
Saw the way he was looking at River dancing. They're like, there he is, doctor.
Like, I like the idea that they got him and they're doctors, because I didn't like the beginning where you see like some people like skinning a rabbit and just like, you know, trying to eat food, and we make it seem like they're just like villainous bad guys. And I like this like little twist, like, oh, they actually just want medical help or something.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're kidnapping a guy to do it and probably have done worse stuff too. But I was like, okay, that's a cool twist. But I was like, how did they know he was a doctor? He doesn't have a stethoscope around his neck.
Yeah, it's a great question, Vance, for someone else to answer.
Okay.
So yeah, that's their whole point in bringing Simon to their village, though. It's full of sick people that need help. But meanwhile, back on Serenity, Jane's rooting through Simon's stuff. He's stealing his money. He takes his shirt and he's reading his diary and he's like, I'm Simon, Which I loved.
Is that where he won you over?
Yes, it is. Kaylee comes into the infirmary to look in on Book, and she's holding his hand, and Book is now passed out. And she holds his hand. She's like, Book did this for me once.
Remember that line. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, is he going to make it? And Zoe's like, I did the best I could, but he does need to get some, medical attention. I don't know if he's going to survive if he doesn't.
Yeah.
And Kaylee's like, how could we have left Simon and River? It doesn't seem right.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like something we would do, which we probably have done multiple times in the time I've been with this crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we go to Mal, and he's talking to the Alliance because he wants to dock. He's requesting permission to dock on the gigantic Alliance thing. He's like, hey, we're Firefly Serenity. We got a guy who needs medical attention. And they're like, all right, prepare to dock. Which makes no sense for what happens later, but okay.
Okay, yeah.
So then we go back to the settlers, and they take Simon to their medical, not facility. They're definitely not a facility. Their house of the sick. And and they're like, please, you're a doctor. Please, will you take care of all these sick people? We don't have a doctor. And Simon looks around and he's like, all these people need help? And they're like, yes, that's why we brought you here. And he's like, all right, well, bring me all the supplies that you've got and bring me a light. And he rolls up his sleeves and he's going to do his best.
Yeah, we're going to get some doctoring. Nice.
Yep. So then Serenity docks on the Alliance ship. They open the door. A bunch of soldiers come on and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? You don't get to just ask for our help, you stupid son of a bitch. We don't just do favors. You don't just give medical help to anybody. What the fuck? And I was like, why'd you let them dock then? Like, they're just being assholes. They come onto the ship with their guns pointed and drawn and everything. They're like, yeah, the fuck? Why are you doing this?
Yeah, they're bored.
So Mal is just like, look, dude, I don't want to dock here. I don't want to be doing this, but our man here, our shepherd, he got shot and he needs medical help. Will you please like help him? And they're like, fucking, what do we care about this guy? And then Book goes, tell them to get my ident card.
Hey, I thought you were passed out and on death's bed, but you can wake up and speak and know what's happening.
Yep.
I just thought about this now. Why is Inara not just flashing her card?
Yeah, she is the what was her role in the first episode? The ambassador. That's what
Yeah. She literally
should have went up to the guy and like did a little like finger wag over his chest, like, I'll help you if you help my man, big boy.
Or she could have been like, or she could have actually known that guy from one of her, companionships.
Yeah.
I get why it's not happening for what this is, but it is something that you would have established in the world, especially since she's the one that said we need to go there. I'd be like, well, if we're going to go there, now you got to get front and center.
Yeah, and it seems like Inara is in good, like she's respected amongst the Alliance.
She's Alliance approved. Yeah, she's in it.
She's got papers, man. Like she is an asset to this crew. Like that was the whole thing of like, I have access to places that Mal normally wouldn't.
Like medical facilities.
Medical facilities. But yeah, Book tells them to get his ident card, and they dig through his pockets and they get his ident card and they put it in their scanner and they're like, yep, he's of age. Let's get him to this infirmary at once. Now they look at it and they're like the general's eyebrows raise or whatever. And he's like, you get this man to the infirmary at once. And that raises Mal and Zoe's eyebrows. They're like, what the fuck was that?
And we should note that Mal has a fake ID that he uses.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Because he goes Captain something else. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Jamiroquai or something. Definitely not Reynolds.
That'd be amazing. They like dancing on the walls and ceilings and stuff.
Yeah, it was some really wild name.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Book is getting taken to the infirmary at once. So then we go back to the settler planet, and Simon's taking care of the sick people, and River tries to talk to a mute girl named Ruby, and their like head doctor woman is like, good luck trying to talk to Ruby. She stopped talking about 2 years ago. And then Simon goes, what, is she mute? And she's like, no, she just stopped talking. Had some real terrible stuff happen to her. And then they're like, okay. And this lady, she's like, you should have River. River should stay here with us. She seems like she needs some help. Simon's like, pish posh. She stays with me. And then they're like, well, fate brought you guys here. Okay? Basically. like everyone's journey, like you were brought here. And then Simon's like, I wasn't brought here by fate or whatever. Your kidnappers brought me here. I'm not meant to be here. And she's like, well, you're here, so that means that you kind of are meant to be here.
Yeah, it's I forget the actress's name, but I recognize her face. She's named Dora Lee in this, and she's very religious seeming in this, and she's, trying to convince them to stay, and it's like, hey, you could do a lot of good here and all that stuff. And Simon's just being a jerk because that's his role this episode.
Like, fuck that. I'm not doing good here. You fuck.
But this actress was in Justified, and I was like, oh, that's where she's from. Yeah, I like that show.
I kept writing her down as Medic Lady.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to call her, and they didn't really name her.
No, she's Dora Lee on IMDb. But
all right, I'll try to remember that.
Yeah.
So then we have Simon, Zoe, and Jane. They're on the Alliance ship, and they're watching like surgeons take care of Book, and they're like, what the fuck is up with Book? What's his story? We haven't really gotten any backstory on Book, and like the way that those Alliance guys rushed him in after checking his ident card. Something's up with Book. And they're like, yeah, we'll get to the bottom of that later. Right now he's in surgery, so we can't really ask him.
Just hold on to that thought too.
Yeah. So then we go back to the settler planet, and guess what? River's disappeared again.
Wait, River? River? Where'd you go, River?
River. And Ruby has also disappeared.
Yeah.
The girl that has stopped talking.
Mm-hmm.
And Simon rushes outside, and River's just outside. She's coming back. She picked some berries for Simon.
Some Hodge berries.
And Simon gets on his knees, and he's like eating the berries from her little dress, little napkin thing. And he's like, these are so much better than when we stole Hodge berries from blah, blah, blah. And then River is like, oh, yeah. And then she goes on a rambling thing where she's like, I'm sorry that I make your life hard. I get confused. I remember everything too much. Some of it's made up. Some of it can't be quantified. And there's secrets. And Simon's just like, yep. And she's like, I realize that you gave up everything to find me. And I know it's hard for you. And I just want you to know that I appreciate it. And then she plays a prank on Simon. She says that the berries that she picked were poisoned. And Simon's like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'm just kidding.
Boy. Yeah. The pranks in this series are just. And It seems like she made a prank about him being poisoned like she did back when they were kids too. And he still spit it out? What? What? And she says Daddy will come to take them home, which is such a pointed line, teeing up a later flashback.
So Dora Lee, she's looking at him and she's like, you guys got to get some sleep. And they're like, all right, yeah, that's probably a good idea. And they're like, which bunk are we taking? They're like, no. For the good doctor, we got a whole house set up for you guys. And in my note here, I wrote, where is Ruby? River showed up and they're like all worried about where Ruby went. And then River showed back up and nobody cared about Ruby. But then Ruby is just sitting in the place again. Well, we didn't see her return, did we?
Well, Dora Lee leaves and gets her probably.
Okay, because I was like, how the fuck, when did Ruby show back up? But yeah, Ruby's there and she's sitting there and River, she starts rambling about Ruby's backstory and she's like, oh my God, this poor girl, she's been through so much trauma. I totally get where she come from. Her mom died and her dad died so I don't remember exactly the specifics of it, but there's a tragic backstory. And Dora Lee is like, oh my God, River, you got Ruby to talk? And River is like, say what? She didn't talk. I just know her backstory. And then Dora Lee is like, she's a witch! Get the witch! She's a witch!
I love that Simon can't explain how River can do this. And none of it is explained in any of the flashbacks of how this girl who is just smart now can read people's minds and thoughts. Also, narratively, I was wondering how they were going to get Simon and River out of this place. Like how they were going to make it okay for them to leave instead of helping. And I was like, once they were like, "Oh, she's a witch," I was like, that's the get out of helping the helpless free card. Because otherwise, if Mal comes back, you got to be like, should I go traveling or should I help these people? Because I did dedicate my life to being a doctor. You know, it's like Doctors Without Borders. But then he's like, "Yeah, I'm out of here. Good luck with the cleft palates and stuff. I'm out." Like, but yeah. And then once he said witch, I was like, okay, there it is. They can leave guilt free.
Yep. So then we get another flashback, and Simon's been arrested by the Alliance or something because he was in a dark zone or something. His dad has to come to the Alliance jail to bail him out, and his dad is like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're going to besmirch the good name of our family, and I don't want to ever have to come back here." And Simon's like, "I was doing it to rescue River. River is in danger, Dad." And Dad's like, "No, she's not. And if you make me have to come back to this jail again, you're out of the family and I won't help you again." And Simon's like, "How could you? How could you? How could you, Father?" So that's basically that scene.
I don't think these flashbacks give enough.
Yeah.
All we know here from these flashbacks is that the dad is not going to help bail him out. But I just assumed that wasn't even a thing prior, because if that was a thing, then
I guess it's more just to give backstory on like everything that Simon's given up to rescue River.
But we don't even see him get River. I thought the thing we were going to see how he found River a little bit. You know, I thought it was going to like tell a flashback story of how he got. I thought it would end where him getting her and just before he gets on the ship. Like not exactly 1-to-1, but at least that he found her. Because now I feel like we have to watch another episode of flashbacks to see how he tracked her down and then maybe find out that the parents knew about. I don't know. Like I feel like it's just
Yeah, I mean, this is like right now it's tell, don't show, because he tells the dad, like, "I was talking to some guys that could probably get River and help River and stuff." And the dad's like, "Shut up."
And that's also like, we had one scene. I would have even liked 3 scenes of him with River as kids and kind of getting older. Because they were young. Like, River was super young when she went there. Like, they don't have that strong of a... They have, like, we are siblings, but they don't have that, like, strong of a bond. Seems like. When did they go picking berries? Like show them picking berries.
Yes. 100%. Yes.
Why in an episode where there's flashbacks are you talking about a flashback without us just seeing it? Something's off.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dad's really worried about, besmirching the family name, and he doesn't want to have to come back to this jail because it'll be on my permanent record. I couldn't believe that the dad said that. I was like, "What, bro?"
Now get back to medical facilities and continue your work.
Oh, man. So then we go back to the settler planet, and Dora Lee runs outside and she starts ringing a bell. And the townspeople are all wake up and they're like, "What the hell's this bell ringing about? What's going on here?" And then Dora Lee's like, "That girl's a witch! She's a witch! We have to burn her at the stake!" And then they ask River if she's a witch. They're like, "Wait a minute, are you a witch?" And River's like, I mean, not really. And then the new head patron of the town comes out. And, he's head patron because he's taller than everybody else.
Yeah, that's how you get to be head patron.
So he goes up to River and he's like, "My child, are you a witch?" And she goes, "I don't know. Am I a witch, or did you become the head patron because you took the place of the old head patron who was sick? and he was dying, but then he was getting better, but you were alone in a room with him, and you killed him so that you could become the new head patron. And then the head patron goes, yep, she's a witch, all right, everybody kill her.
He literally slaps her and says she reads people's minds. Everyone there, he just admitted to killing the previous patron.
Yep.
He wasn't like,
but
she's
Vance,
lying.
He's taller than everybody, so that means he's stronger.
He didn't say she's lying. He goes, yep, she's reading minds. Everything she said was true. Burn her.
Yep.
Wow.
Burn her at the stake.
Yeah. All right, now
So
this
then
is where we have some issues.
Yeah. So then Serenity undocks from the Alliance ship. Book is in the infirmary. He's going to be just fine. And Mal goes up to Book and he's like, so Book, got some questions for you, bud. When the Alliance came on the ship and they were not really being too friendly with us, and then you gave them the ident card, and then everything turned around, what the fuck was that about? And Book's like, I'll tell you someday, young child. And the Mal's like, okay.
Kills me, dude. This is so mystery for mystery's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Mal doesn't take his ID card out of his pocket. The guy's an invalid at this point. Just take it. It's no way. Mal is a thief and a pickpocket. You mean to tell me you're not going to pickpocket that and say, hey, Wash, run this through or something? You're not curious. We got to wait another episode to find out what the ID.
Mal is also very protective of his ship and his crew. He should be like, who the fuck is on my ship?
Yeah.
Like, if that's what the thing is, like, I need some answers, buddy.
Especially if he has Alliance ties. And in episode 1, there was a guy who was pretending to be just a regular traveler that was working with the Alliance. Now,
Yeah,
Shepard,
Ken from LA.
yeah, so Shepard has proven himself to be like a part of the team enough, but you're still going to question.
Yep.
And that's this scene just feels like, no, we're kicking the can down the road for the reveal to. When can a reveal happen again? Are there going to be another situation? And he's like, just do it. Just say something. Like, we won't know what it is. He could say anything. He could make up a word, and then Mal could react to that word, and we'd be like, okay, what does that mean? But to just be like, maybe later is such a...
I'll tell you about my past, but not today.
This is more of a season 2 reveal. Studio? Network? Are we?
Oh, God, yeah. So then we have an announcement that Badger has hailed Serenity, and they need to. Zoe says this. It's Mal, Zoe, and Jane. And Zoe's like, Badger's hailed us. He wants his cut of the money. And Mal's like, all right, yeah, let's go do that. And Jane's like, damn, this is so much fucking easier without Simon and River on here, huh? And Mal's like, yeah, it is. Life is a lot easier. Suspiciously so.
Zoe
a little too easy.
Zoe also agrees that it's easier without fugitives. So
yeah,
most of the ship agrees that they're better off without the 2 people, even though having a doctor would help.
They don't need a doctor. They can just go to medical facilities
Now
with Book's ident card now.
Yeah. Now that they got his card, they can stop off anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that Book says something like, being a shepherd helps. And Mal's like, no. Cut the bullshit, dude.
Yeah. I'm a man of God. And it's like, that doesn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, people don't like men of God. Yeah. What is really going on here? But yeah, so then we go back to the settlers' planet. River's being tied to the stake. River's talking to the head patron. He's like, if you guys are so bloodthirsty for killing, take my life instead of hers. Please, just please.
What an empty offer.
Right?
What? Okay, so we want the witch to stay alive, but we want to piss the witch off by killing its brother? Like, come on, guy.
Well, also, like, they should have just taken that deal, killed Simon, and then killed River right after. It's not like Simon can do anything afterwards.
Simon waited till they tied her up before he offered this deal.
Yeah. So then he just, like, runs through the crowd, and he starts beating up the people that are tying up River. And he's getting beat up, and he gets punched down, and then he stands up, and this is one of the worst acting performances.
It's a bad performance, and it makes no sense that they let him beat up like 3 people and then just stood there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's yelling at the crowd. He's like, this is lunacy, and you're all being so ignorant, and you want to...
When he said ignorant, I was like, well, you're dead. Like, how is he not shot in the head right then and there?
Yeah, I guess they don't have laser guns in this settler's village.
Ping, pew.
Yeah. Pew, pew. But he's like, how could you possibly want to kill this girl? She is my sister, and you can't do this. And they're like, we're going to do it, bro. Get out of the way. And also, this isn't going to stop us from killing her. And then he stands up on the little pyre with River, and he hugs her, and he goes, then take me with her. Light it. Kill us both. And they're like, all right. Fucking no skin off our back. We're probably going to do that.
Yeah, once we killed her, you weren't going to be our doctor anyway because you were going to be pissed off. So why not?
Yeah. So just as they're about to light this thing.
Before, River does mention in her like moment of weird clarity, she goes, post holer. Which Kaylee mentioned when they were in the store, when they were like, what is this thing? And Kaylee was like, oh, it's for digging posts or whatever. And then
it's a post holer.
Yeah.
It's for holing posts.
And she's like, and then they're like, oh, see, if we would have known that's what they use it for burning people. It's like, well, there's so many different uses for like that fence that they had the cattle in. They need to make posts. It's not.
Also, this town is like on the outskirts of the main town.
Mm-hmm.
Like these people like seem like they're kind of shunned away from the main village.
But they are walking distance from the main village. They didn't ride horses.
Yeah, that was like the geography that I didn't get. Where I was like, how far is this like sick village away from the main village?
Remember that Mal says, I don't have time to go looking for him in the forest or whatever? Going through the woods.
Yeah, it took like 20 minutes.
Yeah, they
Wash
have no
didn't
problem.
Drive far enough in his AT. He couldn't find him. Damn it!
They don't even have the fire lit. Like if it was the fire fully lit, I could be like, okay, you would see that at night.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they have some torches or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah, but so just as Simon offers to die with River, Serenity arrives. And the hatch, the bottom of the ship opens up, and Jane is dangling down from it with this like, sniper rifle or something. And he's pointing it at the villagers. Meanwhile, Mal and Zoe, they're boots on the ground. When did that happen? Yeah.
And this is happening a scene after both Jane and Zoe were like, you know what? We're better off not having fugitives on the ship.
Yeah.
So everyone voted, and I guess if everyone on the ship that's still on the ship had to vote, I guess it's 3-2, because I guess Kaylee and Wash would have voted to go back.
I would say that Inara would say to go back.
Yes.
Book would say to go back. Kaylee would say to go back. Wash would probably say to go back.
I think Wash would side with Zoe.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he would. He's whipped.
I forgot about Inara. Okay, so what do we got for votes? We got
Inara,
Mal,
Book, Kaylee,
and Mal
for going back,
and Mal.
Oh yeah, Mal probably would want to.
And that'll be the 4, and then the 3 would be Jane, Zoe, and Wash. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Zoe would follow Mal blindly, though.
She said in this scene, she agreed that it's easier without fugitives.
I mean, Mal also said that it's easier as well.
Yeah, but he was saying it but he had that wistful look on his face because he's a criminal with the heart of gold. Yeah. So he was going to go back. So, okay, I would have loved it if they had a scene where they're like, well, we were going to leave you, but it was 4-3.
Yeah, Mal was like, you better thank Inara, Kaylee, and Book.
It was like, wait, were you the deciding vote, Mal? And he's like, no, Wash changed his mind late.
He's like, that's proprietary information. Some kind of thing like that. Like, that's for Captain to know and for you to find out. Or whatever.
I learned this from Book. I could just say, maybe that's a story for another time.
God damn it, dude. So yeah, Mal and Zoe, they're on the ground. They go through the crowd and they're like, everybody step aside. We're taking these two. And he's like, but she's a witch. And he's like, yeah, but she's our witch. And you see that guy dangling from the sky up there? He doesn't much like these two. And he's real pissed that we're back here and we're taking him back. So he's got a real itchy trigger finger right now. So I wouldn't do anything rash because he really wants to kill some people. And then so they rescue Simon and River. They take him back to the ship. Jane quickly rushes to his room and then rushes to Simon's room to return all of the stolen stuff that he took from Simon.
Yeah.
And then he runs into Simon. He's like, oh, hey, good to have you back on board. And Simon's like, thanks. That was very nice of you. And Jane's like, yep. And he walks away.
Yeah. You know what's
Like
interesting? It's interesting that these settlers believe in medicine.
Yeah. They would think that they could get some help with the power of prayer.
Yeah. It's interesting that they believe in witches also. It's a very, very interesting thing.
Yeah. Did they speak Chinese?
I didn't hear them say it.
I feel like the Dora Lee may have said some Chinese.
Maybe. It seemed to dwindle down as the episode went on. But
yeah,
you would think I don't know enough about the infrastructure, the societal structure, but you would think that the elites would speak more of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was happy that we saw some Asian people at least dancing. There were some Asian people.
I was about
at
to
least.
say that. Yeah, there's an Asian guy dancing with River.
Yeah, there was an Asian woman, and like they turned out to all be the settlers of this planet. But you would think, no one has an Asian accent.
Yeah. Who knows? That might be a scene. That might be offensive.
I mean,
yeah,
less. Yeah,
I mean,
guess,
Badger has a Cockney accent. Though.
I know. Yeah. You can make fun of that. Europe is
that's free.
Yeah, Western Europe.
And then that one guy in the train job had a weird like Russian accent.
Yeah. You can do the European accents and I guess
whatever.
Asian Russian accent.
So so then Simon runs into Mal and Mal's like, hey, how's Book doing? And Simon's like, he's doing good. He the Alliance doctors did a good job with him, so he's gonna be fine. And then Mal's like, good. And he starts to walk away, and then Simon's like, Mal, why'd you come back for me? And Mal goes, because you're on my crew. And then Simon's like, yeah, but you don't even like me. And Mal goes, yeah, but you're on my crew. Why are we still talking about this? And then he walks away.
Aww.
Yep. And then Simon has a little like, that was very nice. Wait a minute. He basically admitted he doesn't like me, though. And then the crew has dinner together. And that's the episode, basically.
Now, the scene with Simon and Mal Simon says a line that just bothered me here. As he goes, finally a decent wound on this ship, and I miss out. And my first thought was, what about Kaylee?
Yep.
What about
Mal when Mal got stabbed in the gut last episode?
What about Jane when he was when he got shot in the leg and you had to help him and drug him? This line doesn't make sense in this episode at all, especially since Kaylee referenced that this happened to her earlier. The only reason you're on the ship is because someone had about to die and you had to save their life. And he's like, finally a decent wound on this ship and I miss out? What are you, Simon?
Yeah.
I was like, I did not get that line at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I gotta say, I talked myself into a pitch of an episode that I would have enjoyed better, which would have been if River knew that patron guy had killed the other patron and that he was lying and like, oh, she's a witch because of that to cover up his own thing. And then the villagers found out that the truth about that guy and turned on him. So they kind of like helped the village as they left.
Burn him at the stake.
Like they find out he was the one that killed Ruby's parents or whatever. And like, that's why she wasn't talk. And then boom, River and Simon can leave, but they leave that town a little better than when they first showed up. Now this town still has sick people, still has a murderous patron, and you guys are free. Like, let that be something. And it's all there. Yeah. It's all there now. I mean, I know that is like something that gets introduced super late, but that thing that gets introduced super late seems like a more interesting. We could see the good that River could do with her mind control powers. Now her mind control powers almost get her killed. That's about it. But she could have saved this whole town.
Mind reading. Not mind control. Yeah.
She's going to be able to control minds in a couple episodes at this rate.
Yeah.
No. That's a hindsight 2020 pitch, but
I gotta say, not my favorite episode.
Yeah, I just thought
last one I did enjoy. That one was probably my favorite, but this one, like, I just can't do the River stuff. And this is River heavy, and Simon is so annoying.
Yeah, I just feel like if you had River solving something by accident or using it, I feel like that would have helped satisfy something for me a little bit.
Or if like the hints were there with River, like she says something cryptic that nobody knows what it means, but like at the end it plays into some shit.
And then Simon could be like, hear that, find out about that, see that the patron was doing something, and then Simon does the detective work of trying to do that. And then you're like, okay, yeah, he's using his medical stuff, and he's like, oh, this isn't an accident. This was actually, this person was killed, and then it becomes a whole different type of thing, but it is something. Instead, we keep getting little teases to stuff. Teases to Simon being an asshole to Kaylee, but that never gets a payoff. Then we find out that Book has an ID and he's not what he seems. We already know he's not what he seems. We knew that when he beat a guy up. We knew that whenever it was like, why are you traveling with us? Now we just know that he has another layer to it, but it doesn't add any more mystery. We already don't know anything about him.
Yeah, and also when they were questioning everybody in that one episode, wouldn't they have taken Book's ident card and been like, oh, okay, you're cool?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, dude, and just like with Simon and River, like you could have had Simon, like the callback with River with the post hole thing.
Yeah.
That's fucking nothing.
I know. It's like, oh, that's why there was a post holder at this one store. It's like, no, that's like saying, oh, they're going to like set us on fire, and that was why they had a wood axe. That's not the only thing it's used for.
Yeah.
They tried to make that like a weird, like poignant callback, and it just was.
Like, I would have liked it if it was like a River clairvoyance thing, and then at the end, Simon would have been like, oh, that's what you were right all along.
Yeah.
Now I get it. And then he solves the case of like the patron being that or something like that.
And that would even be better
if that thing.
That would even be better. Nothing. That would even be better if that happened and Jane was involved, because Jane is the biggest River doubter, So if he saw something and he was like, well, maybe it's not so bad keeping her around, then you get a whole character building thing. And you're like, because everyone's not tied to her yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mal is into it, Book is into it, Kaylee's into it, Anara's into it. Jane is not. Wash is like whatever Zoe says. So like get Jane to come around to River would be an interesting, fun little dynamic. And if she helped him in some weird way, I don't know. It's just something. Yeah. It's just there's a lot of stuff the character dynamics aren't hitting right for me yet, but there's a lot of stuff there that they can play with.
I will say, I think that the thing that this episode does well, which is something that you brought up earlier, is like establishing the Mal-Simon dynamic a bit more. Like they have that adversarial thing. Like I think that works in this episode.
They do it exactly the same as the first. It's exactly the same as that first episode where they have antagonistic and then they meet on the bridge and then they say some stuff that's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they can't do it the same exact way again. They have to have a different argument.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
They have to butt heads on how to do something, but it can't be, well, River, I need River to do this. It needs to be like not even a philosophical, but just like a strategy thing that they butt heads on. And he's like, I know this because I'm from this place. And he's like, I know this because I've done a bunch of these missions. And they both go at it. And we see.
Yeah. Turns out they're like both kind of right.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, real recognize real.
We got to have some meeting in the middle kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the flashbacks just didn't work for me because I can't tell what new information was I getting from the flashbacks that made me, like, I don't feel any more connection between Simon and River. Mm-hmm. I don't feel sadder that they don't have their parents to go to, because I'm like, if they did, they wouldn't be on the ship. It just didn't give me any new extra information.
Yeah, we already knew that Simon gave up everything and he's like on the run. Mm-hmm. I guess like just to hammer that in. But like I wish that the flashbacks would have been more about like Simon and River's relationship, because right now if I'm Simon, like looking at this relationship from the outside, I'm like, bro, why'd you do this? Like, this is a lot of trouble. Like this sucks, man.
Because it's his sister. I get rescuing his sister, but it's like I would have liked to see more bonding in the flashbacks without the like. It seemed more about his parents. It seemed more about Simon and his parents than it did about Simon and River. And maybe we see the parents later. Maybe the parents are set up later, so it's a setup for when he runs into them.
Interesting.
But for the individual episode, it doesn't bond me more with River and Simon.
Yeah, if it is all River and Simon and their relationship, you could see what Simon's trying to get her back to.
Yes, exactly.
Like, oh, this is why. Because right now it's just like we saw one with her talking about dinosaurs and correcting them. It's like we already know that she's smart.
Yep. We know that she's smart.
We already know that Simon gave up basically his entire life to do this. Mm-hmm. I don't need 2 out of the 3 flashbacks to be that.
Well, and we also know that he rescued her from a black site. So that's the 3rd flashback. So we don't get any new information in the flashbacks, which defeats the purpose of flashbacks. They're supposed to incite. And then we do get more flashbacks of them running and stealing some hodgeberries, and they thought they were growing, but they were actually on someone else's farm. They're like, show that scene.
Yeah.
Show them running away, show her being smart and how they dodged something, have him say something, I'll never let you go. Like that's some cheesy nonsense like that. And you're like, all right. And then like tie that to a present day scene when he's hugging her. She's like, don't let go. And then he's hugging the post, and that's like, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just mirror some stuff. It's just something just doesn't work here for me.
Yeah, there's a way to do it, but this I feel like is not it.
And I really hate them kicking the can on the book reveal. I feel like that is just the biggest letdown. Like, because I was like,
that was the most egregious kick the can down the road. Like, like literally, that's a story for another day.
You can't say that.
Wait, what? I'm fine with them kicking the can down the road, but I get why they do it, but I'm just like the way that they did it.
Yes, the way that they did it,
dude.
Like,
wait, what?
If he like passed out, if he was like, well, I was, and he just passed out, and they're like, hey, Shepherd, and then someone's like, hey, you got to let him rest. Not great, but it's better than him saying, nah.
Yeah.
They might as well just say to be continued at the end of the episode.
Yeah. Well, that is Safe. You got anything else to say about Safe?
Nah, I've said enough.
Next episode is titled Our Mrs. Reynolds. Is this where we finally get the backstory of Mal and Inara? Were they married previously?
That would be big. I mean, that would be something that had to be. No. I can't. That would be egregious that it hasn't come up in all these episodes. This is Reynolds. I think we run into Mal's ex-wife.
Okay, so Mal's actual ex-wife.
Oh, Mrs. Reynolds, because I don't think it's going to be his mom. You think his mom? No, I don't think. It's
no,
with the, is it MS or MRS?
MRS, Mrs.
MRS.
I don't think it's his mom. This is going to be some kind of, someone pretends to be his, well, we already did that. Train job.
Hey, that never stopped him from doing the same thing again.
So that we're 5 episodes in and we're like, that never stopped.
Kaylee's like, what did they say about the ship? What did they say about the ship? Kaylee, they're tied up. They're tied up to a chair, and they're like, "How can we get out of this?" Hey, Kaylee, they said something bad about the ship. She just hulks out of it.
Yeah. They said what? They said it was a bunch of gose.
Gose
and le.
I want her to get onto I want her to see another ship that's actually really nice and be like, "Oh yeah, it is a piece of gose."
Yeah. You know what? This is what I'm going to predict.
Okay.
They're going to mistakenly go on some planet that has a different kind of tradition, and Mal and Inara accidentally get married because they don't know the traditions of this planet. And it's like, well, if you do that, that means that you're married. There you go. That's what I'm predicting.
I don't hate that prediction. I just have no idea what they would do with that. I'm just afraid of watching Inara and Mal have the exact same relationship, but they're married, and just the quips back and forth that they're just like missing.
Yeah. That's what I'm predicting.
Oh, and then Wash is like, wedding party.
Yeah.
So now we can just talk about our wives together.
I see them like walking through the town. It's like, great, so now we're married. It's like, well, I didn't want this to happen either. Well, I don't want to be married to you. And they are like bickering, and then somebody is like, typical married couple.
She's like, best man? You said I could be the best man. Yeah, I'm going to say that we find out that Mal was married before. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it's going to be an ex-wife.
That's a good prediction. I like it. All right. Well, that is a wrap, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. Hop on our Discord. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Let us know what you think about what's going on Firefly. Did this episode work for you guys? Are you liking the River Simon stuff? Who knows? Join our Discord. Join our Patreon, patreon.com/boyswatchingbuffy. We're doing Boys Watching Angel. And our upcoming movie, Weird Science, coming out on my birthday, November 21st. Look out for that. That is certainly a movie.
We have different opinions.
I need to side note apologize. I picked it because I thought it was free on Hulu. It turns out you have to get like a trial or belong to Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Apologies, everybody.
Everyone already has their Blu-ray, DVD, VHS copy of it, so it's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, so be on the lookout. Make sure that you do that. Get it for free if you can. Or if you, I don't know, do whatever you want. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Boys Watching Buffy. If you want to get a shout out, Apple Podcast 5-star rating or review, Spotify 5-star rating, take a screenshot of it, send it in to us. The email is boyswatchingbuffy@gmail.com. And stay tuned for next time when we talk about our Mrs. Reynolds.
Dear Diary, today I was pompous and my sister was crazy. Today we were kidnapped by hill folk, never to be seen again. It was the best day ever.
Seltzer Kings.
Podcasts.